Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back. I'm here for you if you need me. I wanted to get that out front and center because I feel like a lot of times, sometimes I come on and it's just right into the message and, large and in charge and all in, right? Today I had therapy this morning and I recognized a few things. And I think we sometimes can get really, really distraught with life, society, people, places, things. But you know what's going to exacerbate those things, or in other words, make it worse, is doing drugs, alcohol, and certain things that maybe our mental health would lead us into that it isn't healthy, like shaming, shoulda, coulda, woulda, blaming, guilt, shame, all that stuff is just not necessary because you know what? Whether we're trying our hardest or not, we go through what we go through for a reason, and we always tend to come out on the other side better. So I don't get why people complain and always go back on, if I only would have did this, or if I only could have done this, or if she wouldn't have done this, or he wouldn't have done that to me, and all this other stuff. Well, you know what? That makes a difference. But what doesn't make a difference is complaining about it, or whining, or trying to get it to where we feel bad about what we could or should have done. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is predestined to happen in such an order that there is no real way of altering that. And so a lot of times when we're praying for somebody, you know, we're benefiting ourselves as well because you're getting in contact with that side of yourself that is thinking or expressing something for somebody else, and that's huge. That is a big milestone because a lot of times in society people are only thinking about themselves, and I am such a bad example of that sometimes. But on the other end of the spectrum too, we come into a time where we're always reflecting, right? We're always trying to get the better of ourselves out, and it comes with time. A lot of the time that we have, we're going to go through learning experiences, and nothing is ever a failure. You see, we go through things for a reason. We don't ever. There's nothing that happens that doesn't happen for a reason, and I love that because it not everything has a purpose, but everything has a reason. And I know that might be hard to kind of grasp, but not everything happens because it has a purpose. Not everything has a purpose in our life. It's other things going on in the world, but everything has a reason and a rhyme, and it's all formulated and planned out that way, and I love it. There's a divine design, we call it. Oh, I could talk about that for hours on end. But today I got some work I gotta go do. I'm gonna go install a garage door opener and do some maintenance on a garage door, and then tomorrow I'm off to the farm again. So this morning, I had therapy, and I'm coming into some grief. I lost my godfather. My godfather was somebody that was a very solid role model for me when I was younger, and I lived with them on the farm quite a bit. I went to summers. I lived there in the summers on the farm, and I went to Bible camp up there. And my godfather and my godmother played an integral role in my younger years. And I found out through the grapevine in my family that my godfather had died. And at first I was really upset, not because he had died, but because nobody told me, and that I had went, 3, 4, 5, 6 months without knowing that he had passed, and I had no way of reaching out to the people who were closest to him because they had blocked me and don't take my messages. So not knowing what I did to deserve that hurts, but not being able to say goodbye to somebody that I really, really, really cared for is even harder. So I'm working through that at the moment, and it just goes to show you that people in my life, whether they're family or not, they don't really think about other people a lot, especially in my family. It's difficult. I'm not gonna place the blame on anybody or anything at the moment, but I felt really disappointed that nobody had the confidence or the love in their heart to tell me. So I was pretty upset about that. So I'm working through that right now, and along with that comes grief. And every once in a while, I'll think of my godfather and the times that we had on the farm. He taught me how to drive, stick shift. Obviously, he taught me how to drive tractor, combine. We used to go sailing. We used to go motorcycling with his brother Bob. Brought me to Canada one time with him. We went sailing in Winnipeg. And I rode around on his BMW, not Eldon's, but my godfather's brother on the farm. He taught me how to drive tractor, combine, truck, car, the little Toyota Tercel that he had, a little hatchback with the stick shift. That was his farm runaround. And then he had a little Datsun pickup, which is really another small thing. It was yellow, and I used to sneak out on the farm and take that thing ripping around. Of course, they probably knew that I was driving it because I was never really that sneaky, but they never said no. They always let me do that sort of stuff, and that's where I learned to kind of cut my teeth. That's where I cut my teeth and learned how to drive and use four-wheeler. And I know you guys remember the old Honda Rebel, the red Honda Rebel. Oh man, that was such a fun machine. I think I rolled it a few times. Even on church day, I think I got dirty one time, and they were like, you're not supposed to be riding this before church. And I had snuck out and took it for a ride. But he also took me fishing. I also learned about farming. I learned about weather. He always was really into weather and forecasting. And he had this DTN, it was called. It was a machine. It was a computer, but it would only do the weather. So I would surf on there thinking that I was so cool because it was a computer. And, when you're young, everything is just so cool. And he taught me a lot about being a hard worker. And he taught me a lot about being dependable. And he had his hands in politics, in law, in farming, and in all kinds of different things. And that was really inspiring to me as I got older, because I realized that time is precious, and he made time for each thing that he had a passion for in his life. And number one was farming, though. They farmed a lot of wheat, barley, oat. I think they did some sunflowers, not much, but they did. They tried asparagus for a couple of years. They do wheat, barley, oat, and there was a couple other things that they had on the farm, and they were successful doing so. And I loved spending time up there with him. It was really impactful in my early years because I didn't have a really good support system. So yeah, I didn't ever really have a father figure in my life either, except for Eldon. So knowing that he's gone, it's tough. It is. But I'm gonna get to work, you guys. I gotta go out and get some supplies for this job and get out to the job. And I hope you guys all have a great day. Yesterday was awesome. We had a recovery ride for the alumni at New Beginnings, and I picked up a new sponsee. Awesome kid. Looking to extend his recovery into outpatient, and I'm gonna support that, and I can't wait. So you guys, if I don't see you lately, please be well out there. Be kind to others. Most of all, be kind to yourself, and live this life one day at a time. All right. See you guys.